give the signal when you're ready.
All right, we are live.
Welcome to our Facebook Live with Caitlin from the University of Waterloo. So I'm here with Caitlin. She is a liaison officer with the University of Waterloo, yes. And I'm Richard Vallejo. I'm the student service representative at Virtual High School. So today we're going to be discussing all things UWaterloo. And Caitlin is going to share with us some information about UWaterloo and what could make it a good fit for you looking to apply to university now. And now following Caitlin's presentation, we're going to have a time of a question and answer. We're going to ask a lot of the questions that a lot of our students ask now. And then, of course, feel free, if you develop any questions while Caitlin is talking, to just type it in the comments there, and we're going to answer those as well. So make sure you ask those. And without further ado, we're going to have Caitlin explain to us why University of Waterloo is a great choice for post-secondary.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so thanks so much for having me here today. I am excited to tell you a little bit more about the University of Waterloo and, of course, answer some of those questions that we commonly get from students in order to kind of clear those and have a great conversation.
Great.
So a little bit about the University of Waterloo. We are 61 years old now, so we were founded in 1957. We have been Canada's most innovative university for the last 26 years as well. So there's many reasons as to why this is happening. We do have the world's largest co-op program, so we really allow our students to be able to gain experience and knowledge while they are going to school. We can touch on the co-op program a little bit later as well,
Sure.
if you would like. As well, we have Velocity, and Velocity is a startup incubator that we have on campus, which for students who are looking to be an entrepreneur, who have an idea, something they've always been passionate about, we're there to help you along the way to assist you in order to kind of start up that venture. So a couple specific things about the University of Waterloo. These are our view books, and every school will have a view book just like this. So feel free to pick these up. You can find them in your guidance office, and they're also all available online. So within these explain all of our different programs that we offer, kind of the unique things about the University of Waterloo, go over residence and all of that as well. So what I'm going to do is just take a couple minutes to go through each one of our faculties. So the first one we have is Applied Health Sciences, and we were actually just talking about Applied Health Sciences before. This is the faculty I was a part of. I studied recreation and sports business, so a really great program to be a part of. Within Applied Health Sciences, it's really our people helping people faculty. So we like to say that they're looking at ways to improve lives of others and really make those connections. So kinesiology, public health, health studies, and recreation and leisure studies. The next area we have is our Faculty of Arts. Within this, these are like our social sciences. So things like psychology, sociology, political science, legal studies. And within arts, we like to say that these are for our lifelong learners and our critical thinkers. So there's lots of ways for you to do double majors, to add on minors, and to really create a degree that you're passionate about in areas that you would like to study for the duration of your 4 years.
Great.
The next one we have is our Faculty of Engineering. Within engineering, we have 15 different programs. We actually just added a new engineering program this year, and that's our Architectural Engineering program. So 14 engineering programs where you will get your professional engineering, and then the last one is our architecture program. So all of these programs are direct entry, so you will study exactly what you love right from your first year. And as well, all of those programs are also co-op too. So you will be a co-op student if you are an engineering student. The next one we have is our Faculty of Environment. This area is really unique. We are one of the few schools that have an entire Faculty of Environment. So if you're looking at sustainable resources or different ways to improve our planet or our world, environment might be a really cool place for you. So these are things like geography and environmental management, environment and business, or environment, resources, and sustainability. So a lot of those unique programs are looking at ways to make a difference really in different ways.
Great.
The next one we have is our Faculty of Mathematics. We actually have 45 different programs you can study in math, so if you love math, it might be the place for you. They do say 7 of the top 10 jobs are somehow related to math, so if you are looking at your return on investment from your degree, it might be a good place for you to start. A lot of our programs are also combined with business within math, so if you're looking at doing an opportunity where you can also include that, math is also a good place to start. The next one we have is our Faculty of Science. Within science, we have 18 different programs. They're split up into life science and physical sciences, and there's additional ones like environmental sciences and science and business in there as well. Science at Waterloo is really hands-on, so you get a chance to really get involved and do those labs, and we actually put $60 million towards research every single year.
Wow.
So if you love being in those labs and kind of experimenting and finding out those new findings, science is a really great place for that. And one area that came up a little bit throughout that is business. So we don't actually have an entire faculty of business, but what we do have is programs that are spaced and sporadically put throughout our different faculties. So a lot of and business programs, or plus business programs is what we like to call them. So you're going to combine an area that you're really passionate about with an area of business. So you'll learn, for instance, science and business. So you'll be able to talk the talk of science, be understanding what's going on in that science world, but really be able to work in a science or in a business related area afterwards. Some pretty unique programs there too. So a couple other things about the University of Waterloo. We do have a lot of different ways for our students to get involved. So I always say it's so important to continue doing the things that you love now while you're at school. So whether that's playing a sport or a club or whatever it might be, we have a lot of different what we call intramural sports. So what those are is you'll play at the University of Waterloo against other students, and there's different levels, like beginner, intermediate, and all-star. So depending on where you fall in there will depend on kind of what level you will play.
Sounds fun.
So I played like volleyball and dodgeball and slow pitch. So just some really great ways to kind of de-stress between your classes, meet some new people, and have a chance to get out there and be active. As well, we have over 200 clubs and teams available at Waterloo, and really, like, you name it, there's a good chance we've got it. So we have a cheese club, we have a dragon boating club, we have different language clubs and cultural clubs, like dance and hip hop and photography. So also really great ways to make those connections and kind of find new friendships and stuff like that on campus. And then besides that, if you are a first-year student coming into the University of Waterloo, you might be thinking a little bit about residence. So where am I going to live in my first year? We do have a 100% residence guarantee. So we have a spot for you somewhere on campus, different rooms from single rooms, double rooms, and apartment-style rooms, depending on what you're looking for. All of those also come with meal plans. So if you are looking to, don't have to do your dishes, you can just walk down to the dining hall and get your meal plan. That is a really great option for those students as well. But apart from the really great food that we have in our residence, there's also tons across campus as well. So we have 34 different sources of caffeine. So if you're a coffee drinker and you need to get out there and get your caffeine fix before you go to class, that's not a problem on our campus at Waterloo. But there's also so many different opportunities of food that I didn't even know existed before I went to Waterloo, just because we are such an inclusive and diverse campus, which is really nice. So lots of different options for you to get out there and kind of hang out with your friends as well. So a little bit on our programs. We do start at an 80% average when you're applying into the University of Waterloo. Depending on what program it is that you're applying to, the averages do go up from there. So they are all very different. So important to kind of to look at those before you are applying. And then one other quick note that I will make is about the application process. So what we have at the University of Waterloo is called an AIF, and our AIF is our admissions information form. So this is the time for the students to tell us more about themselves. So if they speak another language, if they play a sport, if they have a part-time job, if you've written math contests, whatever it is that makes you different, we want to hear about it. And that's also another process and another thing that we will take into consideration. For math and engineering, it is required. And for all other programs, it's strongly recommended because it also makes you eligible for scholarships. And scholarships are free money, and the best kind of money is free money.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, when you're a first-year student, it's definitely nice to have a little bit of extra money in your pocket. So those are kind of my quick 5-minute or whatever minute that was synopsis about the University of Waterloo. So shall we chat a little bit
take
and
it
get some
away.
of these questions rolling?
Absolutely. Now,
Sounds good.
real quick, I actually thought about a couple different questions there myself. Cheese Club, not a question, but something fun to talk about if anyone has any questions about that.
Yeah.
But the AIF, is that what you said it was? Now that would help you be a bit more personalized in selecting the students that come to Waterloo, yes?
Exactly. Yeah, so for some of the programs like computer science or software engineering or the math programs, they're also looking for different contests that you've written or those kind of things. But we are looking at your AIF to make sure you're going to be a successful student in co-op, to make sure that you have those skills necessary to be a successful student, but also just to give out scholarships and give out awards. So those will also help you when you are applying. So I guess engineering, while we're on this topic, engineering also has an online video interview, which is optional. We suggest and really, really highly recommend that you take the time and do that video. It's not skill testing. It's just we want to see your communication skills that you have. So that's another way that you can also get additional admission points when you are applying into the University of Waterloo.
That's great. I don't know that I've heard of any university doing something quite with all their undergraduate students. That's wonderful.
It is the video interview was introduced, I don't remember if last year was the first year or 2 years ago was the first year. So it is something that we're still kind of streaming in. But definitely is something that is very useful for those engineering students to be aware of.
No doubt. Great. Yeah. Well, for anyone that's just now joining us, Caitlin from the University of Waterloo, she is a liaison officer. She just gave a quick synopsis as to why the University of Waterloo might be a good option for you, anyone who's just now thinking about applying to university. This video is going to be available after the live stream, so we encourage you to check it out. And then, of course, please make sure that you leave any comments or any questions that you have throughout the video. We'll make sure to answer those, whether now or certainly after the video is over. So that does wrap up the presentation portion. So, Caitlin, if you don't mind, we're going to ask you a few questions. So commonly asked questions that students have, and as well any questions that may have come through as well in the live feed. Yeah, so the first one is, and you a lot of this stuff you already kind of covered, but see if you can maybe expand on it a bit more. Where's the best place for students looking for admissions requirements? The University of Waterloo website,
so the
e-info?
Website is a really good place to start. So for Waterloo's, it's uwaterloo.ca/admissions, so that you can go through and select a specific program that you're looking for. So that'll give you all the necessary information. As well, these view books are available in all of your guidance offices, or should be available in all of your guidance offices. And these will have charts in them to explain like what programs it is that you're looking for, and kind of what you need. So you probably can't see this, but the pages will look something like this. And then as well, e-info is a great place to look too. So yeah, lots of different resources to use. As well, talk to your guidance counselors. They normally have a lot of information about the universities too. So online, on the specific university website, I would say e-info, view books, and guidance counselors.
Wonderful. And you can find links to this on our Facebook page as well, to help you get started there. The next question, Caitlin, is you touched on this earlier, so we just want to follow up with programs. Which programs are the most competitive, and what are the anticipated admission averages to the 2018-2019 applicants?
Yeah, so these do vary year to year, kind of what's the most competitive depending on what students are obviously applying to the most. In the past, we've seen computer science, software engineering, biomedical engineering, and then the double degrees. So there's a math and business and a computer science and business program that's conjoined with Laurier. If I had to pick some, I would say that those are definitely some of the most competitive ones. Most of those, my guess for this upcoming year would be about a mid-90s to get into those programs. So yeah, depending, they do vary a little bit from year to year, but if I had to make a little bit of a projection, that would be my guess. Okay,
good to know. Now, when applying to the University of Waterloo, how does the university view online credits? Of course, that being very dear to our hearts. Maybe repeated credits and summer school credits. How are those viewed?
Yeah, so at the University of Waterloo, for the faculties, so arts, environment, science, and applied health sciences, they will take whichever course is your highest course. So whether it's an online course or a summer school course, they will view it as is. And now if you are applying to math or engineering, they will look at it a little bit differently. So you will get a chance on your AIF to explain if you retook a course, if you're taking it online, kind of what that reason is. We are trying to give every single student a fair chance at getting into our programs. So if someone were to retake a course, for instance, they would get to redo the material for the second time and may have a better chance at it. So we are just making sure that it is an even playing field for all students who are applying. And remember that it only applies to math and engineering students in this case. So if you fall in this, if you're watching, you probably do, if you're taking a virtual high school and applying to math and engineering, just make sure when you're filling out your AIF that you're really telling us why you're taking the virtual class. And as long as we see it as a valid reason, then we will go ahead as admissions as normal. And
correct me if I'm wrong, this also, for especially engineering, the interview video applies to that? Is that a spot where that can be explained as well, or is that just strictly the AIF?
Really good question. So the video interview, you will get questions asked and you will answer that question. So they're not skill testing, they're just questions like, why do you want to be an engineer at Waterloo? Those kind of things. But your AIF, that's where you would have the place to really explain that. Perfect. So on that, it's like it'll be a short answer, kind of answer that you have. To give a little blurb as to the reasoning behind that.
Another good reason why it's important to fill that out.
Yes.
So we do get a lot of inquiries about the University of Waterloo engineering program, and you mentioned it's pretty big. So how many applicants do you normally get a year, if that's a fair question, in comparison to how many spots you actually have available for them?
Yeah, so we do continually add programs. So like this year I said we added architectural engineering. So we are accepting, I believe it's somewhere around like 1,200 students into that program across the 15 different programs. Year to year it does vary quite a bit as to how many students we are applying. Now the tough thing with that is there's applicants and then there's also applications. So applicants would be like you and I, and then we could have applications to more than one program. So within engineering, you will get one choice on your OUAC application or however you're applying to the university. And then for engineering, you will get a second choice on your AIF. So you would only apply to one program, and your second choice you would get automatically. So it's almost like a free choice on your AIF.
Got it.
Architecture is separate from that. So architecture you would apply to, and then you could also apply to an engineering program. But if you are applying to engineering, you will get that second choice on your AIF. So within that it is really hard to say how many students we apply year to year. It might be a number that I can get for you though if we're looking for it.
Sure. So if anyone really wants to know that question, make sure you comment on it. Now, the engineering applicants also includes the ones that are kind of doubling with business, as you were talking about as well.
So engineering programs, there's 15 of them, and they're all engineering programs. So it would be direct entry into engineering programs. Now math have a lot of programs that overlap with business.
Got it.
So like a math and business administration or a computer science and a BA. We also have a business administration program at Waterloo where you would graduate with a bachelor's of math too. So quite a bit of overlap within the math and business if that is something that interests you.
Yes, wonderful. Great. Now I'm reading this question coming in. You mentioned the view books being available in guidance office. That's the one you're holding right there. Are they also available like in PDF format on your website?
They
Students
are,
can download?
yes. So you can find these in PDF version. So a great way to also look if you don't have a guidance counselor's office to go into. So yeah, they will all, I'm pretty sure most schools will have them available as well. Yep, so you can find these in PDF versions, and then it's a great place to kind of start to really get the different options and all the different programs and stuff like that about schools.
Great, wonderful. Now this question is coming from one of our viewers, Arif. Can students start from any term like fall or winter or summer at University of Waterloo?
Yeah, really good question. So we do only start in the fall term at Waterloo. So all of our programs start into the fall term, so September. Within that. So yeah, it would just be that one term. So all of our students get to start as a cohort and go through those programs together with those ones that they entered with.
Great. You did touch base on this already in your presentation there, but a very common question from students is what financial aid is available for students wanting to apply to Waterloo?
Really good question. So any student who applies to Waterloo, you're automatically considered for some scholarships. So if you have above an 85% average, you are guaranteed a scholarship of $1,000 up to $5,000, depending on where your grades fall within that. As well, your AIF will make you eligible for additional scholarships. And then as well, there's tons of other scholarships that have application processes to go along with them. There's a ton, like depending on whether you're involved in your community, if you've done lots of volunteer hours, if you've scored a certain score on your math test or math contest, those kind of things. Those are all other ways to get that financial aid. There's of course also bursaries for the University of Waterloo that you can apply to as well. And then another great resource to use is OSAP. So if you are able to apply to OSAP, government grants and loans as well that they would give you. But one other thing to touch on is co-op. So students at Waterloo, they will make between $33,000 and $90,000 if they are a co-op student. So that's a really great way to pay back some of that money that you might be paying in tuition or in books and that kind of stuff. So a great thing to take into consideration as a way to help out with that financial need as well.
Great. That certainly is going to affect a lot of the decision factors. Money, unfortunately, is always a deciding factor. So entrepreneurship seemed to be a major focus for University of Waterloo, and in fact, that's kind of what it's known for. Can you tell us more about how the University of Waterloo supports or sponsors some of these attempts?
So we have two major startup incubators on campus, Velocity and Greenhouse. So Velocity is actually the most successful startup incubator in North America.
Wow.
And it's free to students, so it's a free startup incubator. So within these, we connect students with professors and like-minded people around you who are in your classes. We give you materials and space in order to help you create whatever it is that you're looking for. Within this, we do have an intellectual property policy as well, which means that anything that you create at the University of Waterloo is 100% the students. So we don't take any sort of financial compensation from them or anything. We're there to support you and help you, but we aren't going to take any of your success away from you. Kind of a fun fact about Velocity, we've actually created 6 different unicorns. So a unicorn is actually a company or a startup company that is actually now has a net worth of over $1 billion.
Wow.
So 6 of our students have gone on to do just that, which is pretty great. So lots of ways to make those connections, whether it's a social venture or a high-tech startup or an idea that you kind of have that you started off with. It's a great place to really begin in that. And that's one of the reasons that we have had the innovation kind of tied to Waterloo for the last little bit.
Yeah, wonderful. You did mention this earlier, and I'm jumping a little bit back here that maybe think of something else here, but there is a lot of option for extracurricular opportunity at University of Waterloo. Sounds like a lot of fun and very diverse. How would a student looking to get involved with one of these or more than one perhaps?
Really good question. So the first week of classes in our Student Life Center that we have, all of the clubs set up different booths and tables all around. So it's a great opportunity for you to walk around and mix and mingle and see what clubs are all available. In there, you can literally walk up and say, this sounds really great. I would love to join, and away you go. Throughout that as well, the clubs also have different activities and events, and you're welcome to go to those, and that's a really great way to also make those connections. For Intramural Sports, those are done in the first week of classes. You would go to our athletics office and sign up to be on an intramural team that way. They also have a day in the Student Life Center where you can wander around and learn a little bit more about athletics. And then if you are thinking about playing a varsity sport, so varsity sport is the competitive sport where you play all across Ontario, those teams are tryout based. So you would get in contact with the coach normally ahead of time, or they also have walk-on tryouts. So normally, depending on what season they're in, they would have those tryouts. Like football, for instance, would be a couple weeks before school starts. So you just kind of want to get in contact to see when those tryouts are, and then you can...
And those are kind of like the more official teams.
Yeah, so those are the ones where you travel around and play all the different universities.
Wonderful. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I remember in my university going there and being somewhat sensory overload. There's so much the students can get involved in, so that's really neat. Last question here. You touched base on this earlier, but you reminded us of what unique programs University of Waterloo offers. Even the whole aspect of mixing, math with business and science with business. I think that's really neat. Bit of what you're able to share with us. What new programs are maybe coming down the line, aside from the engineer architecture being one of them, and maybe something else that you might be able to share with us now?
Yeah, so I don't know any new programs that are coming in the upcoming years. I'm sure there will be some. Some of the other newer ones that we have, though, like Global Business and Digital Arts. So that's one of our newer business programs. So that really combines the aspect of user experience and digital technology with a business spin in order to create those different, whether it's a website or whether it's a new sort of marketing technique. So that's one of the newer programs that we have at Waterloo, which is kind of fun. And what's really great about those programs is that the reason why we're creating the new programs is because we see a need for them in the market. So we're not just kind of thinking like, this would be a really great idea. It's normally because someone has come to us or we see this kind of break where there's students who aren't necessarily trained to be doing what's happening, because as we have seen, our world has changed so much in the past little bit. So we're thinking up these new programs in order to ensure that we have people to support these markets that are coming forward. Great.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that with me. I know I said it was the last question, just real quick. Do you have any other University of Waterloo related comments kind of before we wrap up, something that someone that may be thinking about applying to UWaterloo may need to know?
Yeah, it's important if you are able to go check out the campuses, I think that that's one of my biggest piece of advice for
Makes
students,
sense.
is to really get that real life experience. I always say you wouldn't buy a car before test driving it, so go check out those universities before you do commit. If you're not able to, there's a lot of different events, like the Ontario University Fair is this weekend, so that's in Toronto. So if you want to come check out, every single university will be there. So that's a great way to talk to all of them, see what the different options are, maybe what you might need to get into those programs. And then as well, fall open houses and March break open houses and those kind of things are always available, and campus tours. So if you are willing and have the time to trek on down to Waterloo from wherever you are from, we would love to have you on campus and give you a tour and talk to you more in person about an area that you might be really specifically interested in.
Wonderful. Thank you. Listen, Caitlin, it's been great to have you share with us about the University of Waterloo experience. Of course, any of our students that are in virtual high school, a lot of them do apply, and some have even attended University of Waterloo. So I know it's going to be valuable information for the students that we have, and maybe any potential students that we or you might have as well. So that does bring us to the end of our Facebook Live today. We encourage all of the viewers to share this video. And if you still have any questions, make sure you comment on the video, and we're going to make sure that we answer them as soon as possible. Of course, especially if you're interested in applying to the University of Waterloo. Of course, if you have any questions of virtual high school as well, we can answer those for you. Make sure that you comment with any questions you have, and we will reply to them as soon as possible. Like this video if you would like to see more live university sessions as well. And make sure you follow us on Facebook, and that way we can stay in touch. Thank you for joining us, Caitlin. Thank you for joining us.